Okay, so think about it. N is supposed to be an integer, and somehow we have to divide 126 by n square, and that is also supposed to be an integer, right?
Yeah, I was
So,
thinking we'll do like prime
uh,
factorization.
so that is correct, because 126 you can clearly see is 2 into 63, which is 2 into 7 into 9, right? Correct.
Yeah.
So, if n square divides 126 completely, right, then obviously n is equal to 3 immediately comes to mind. No, it fits, right?
Yeah.
N is equal to 3 fits, 2 into 7 into 3 square. And you can clearly see that only 1 is the other number that will fit, no? Because the only prime factors of 126 are 2, 7, and 3, right?
Yeah.
But 2 and 7 are only present to the power 1, right?
Yeah.
So you cannot put 2 here because 4 is not going to divide, right?
Yeah.
You cannot put 7 here for n also,
Yeah.
right? So only possible values are 3, which fits, and 1 obviously will fit anything, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
So the number of values will be 2. The answer will be A, which is the 2. Two integers are such that n and 126 by n square are both integers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay. So this was quite easy. Then we look at the next one. So next one already will help us think about quadratic equations. So question number 11, it is saying find the range of values of k such that kx square minus 2x plus 2k minus 1 is greater than 0 for all real values of x. So actually this is a perfect question for us to discuss quadratic equations now.
Yeah.
So,
I
so
believe it has something to do with like the value of the discriminant or something.
yeah, it has everything to do with that only. So if you have a quadratic, right, so something like this is a quadratic polynomial. If you make an equation out of it, x square plus bx plus c is equal to 0, right?
Yeah.
So we know how to get roots of this equation, right?
Yeah.
Roots have a simple formula, and I hope you know how the formula comes also.
Yeah.
You have to complete the square, okay? So
Yeah.
a common, x square plus b by ax plus c by a, and this part you have to complete the square and you will get it, right? You know this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So we also know things like if alpha and beta are the roots, sum of the roots is equal to minus b by a, and product of the roots is equal to c by a.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is basic stuff. And if you have a quadratic like this and the roots are alpha and beta, then it can be written like a into x minus alpha and x minus beta, right?
Yeah.
Because obviously x is equal to alpha is a root, so alpha should satisfy this, right?
Yeah.
So x minus alpha and x minus beta are definitely factors of this quadratic, right? So this is standard stuff that we know. Now what we will look at is what are the possible conditions on a, b, and c so that we get real roots and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So we have something called the discriminant, which is basically b square minus 4ac, which is the thing inside the radical here. So b square minus 4ac here, if it is greater than or equal to 0, then there is no issues with it, because now we can take the square root of that, right? So that will mean that there are real roots to this equation, right? If, however, b square minus 4ac turns out to be negative, then
No real root.
no real roots. Actually, you will have to extend the number system and include complex numbers also, and then there will be complex roots. So complex numbers, I'm not sure if you have done yet. You have not done, I think, right?
Not done.
Okay, so we will discuss it as we go along. In some time in the future, we'll definitely discuss it because complex numbers is super important for Olympiads, but right now not. So For now, we are only thinking about real numbers. So no real roots will happen if this is happening, right?
Yeah.
Let's also try to understand how the graph of this polynomial looks. So if ax square plus bx plus c is my general quadratic polynomial, then what will happen if I draw the graph of this? So what I will draw is there are 6 possible versions of that graph, which we will draw all of them, and we'll try to understand what are the conditions under which we get each type of graph. So let's see here. And one more here. So first of all, ax square plus bx plus c is a parabola. Okay.
Yeah.
It looks like something like this, right? This is the y-axis, this is the x-axis. So it will be something like this. So this is one possible version of that graph. It could also look like this. It could also look like this. Okay. These are 3 different versions of the same parabola. Now, which one is it? It depends on the values of a, b, and c. Okay, a, b, and c are real numbers. So that decides whether it is above, whether it is cutting the x-axis at 2 points, or whether it is touching the x-axis at 1 point, right?
Yeah.
So if it cuts the x-axis at 2 points, then that means that y is becoming 0 at 2 points, right?
Yeah.
And those are the 2 real roots of it, right?
Yeah.
If it doesn't even intersect the x-axis, then no real roots, right?
Yeah.
And if it touches once, then d is equal to 0.
Yeah.
Right? Because if d becomes 0, then both the roots are identical, and the roots are basically x is equal to minus b by 2a. Both the roots are identical here.
Yeah.
And here you have d greater than 0, and here you have d less than 0, right?
Yes.
Correct. And
Yeah.
what decides that the parabola looks like this or opens upward? What decides that is a is greater than 0. All these 3 graphs have a greater than 0. Okay.
Yes.
If a was negative, then you will get the opposite versions of these. Okay.
Yeah.
So these are the 3 graphs for a less than 0. The same conditions apply. Here there are 2 roots. Here there is 0 root. So d less than 0. A is less than 0. And here there is 1 root. So d is equal to 0 and a is equal to a is less than 0. Right?
Yes.
So now if you think about the question, find the range of values of k for which this thing is always greater than 0, right?
Yeah.
So always greater than 0, only possibility is either this or this, right?
Yeah.
Either it can be a graph like this or it can be a graph like this. No other graph is always greater than 0, right? Out of the 6 versions.
Yeah.
Correct. So first of all, now let's look at the conditions and just simply apply those conditions. So obviously you should have k greater than 0, right?
Yes.
Then only it will face upwards, right? This parabola.
Yeah.
Correct. And you can have basically discriminant should be either less than or equal to 0, right?
Yeah.
Then you will have either a non-intersecting graph or a touching graph, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but actually it cannot touch because it's
Because then
saying
you'll have one case when it's 0.
is equal to 0. So it cannot touch. So actually I have to exclude this one also. So I will not write that. So it is just simply d less than 0 and k greater than 0, right?
Yeah.
So these are the 2 conditions. So let's now simplify that a little bit. So I'll just do it on the next page. So it will be kx square minus, the equation was kx square minus
Minus 2x.
2x plus 2k
plus
minus
2k
1.
minus 1.
Minus 2x plus 2k minus 1. And we have to make it positive. So for that to happen, I have to put k greater than 0 and d less than 0. So therefore, now d will be 4 minus 4 into k into 2k minus 1, right?
Yeah.
So this should be less than 0. And also you have to have this, right? So let's simplify this first. It becomes 4 minus 8k square plus 4k is less than 0, right?
Yeah.
Therefore, 8k square minus 4k I'm taking everything to that side. Minus 4 is greater than 0, right?
Yeah.
8k square minus 4k minus 4 is greater than 0. Now, obviously, I can cancel off the 4 here directly. So this becomes 2k square minus k minus 1 is greater than 0, right?
Yeah.
And to solve this, to find out the values of k, I need to factorize it, and it's easy to factorize. You can just do this plus k minus 1, right? So
Yeah.
you get 2k k minus 1 plus 1 k minus 1 is greater than 0. So it becomes 2k plus 1 into k minus 1 is greater than 0, right?
Yeah.
Now, this happens in certain regions of k, like for certain values only this will be true. So let's think about which values. So one particular possible value where this becomes 0 is minus half, and one possible value is 1, right?
Yeah.
At these points, this expression disappears, it becomes 0, right?
Yeah.
So above 1, think about above 1 points, those points, this will be positive and this will also be positive, right?
Yeah.
So overall thing is positive, right?
Yeah.
In between minus half to 1, you will have this one will be negative and this one will be positive, right? This is negative and this is positive.
Yes.
So in this range, it will be negative, the overall product. And below it, below minus half, both of them will turn out to be negative. So you will have overall product will be still positive, right?
Yeah.
You understand how, like, take any number below minus half. So let's say minus 1, right?
Yeah.
At minus 1, 2k plus 1 is also negative.
Yeah.
And minus 1 is also negative.
Yeah.
So the overall thing becomes positive. No?
Oh, yes. Yes.
So basically, I am trying to find out the range of k for which the inequality is true. This inequality is basically a product of two factors. And the two factors have to overall be positive. So it can either be both positive or both negative, right?
Yeah.
Both negative will happen when any value less than minus half. And both positive will happen for any value greater than 1, right?
Yes.
So solving this discriminant condition gives us the range k greater than 1 or k less than minus half, right?
Yeah.
However, we already have one condition already imposed, that k must be greater than 0, right? Correct?
Yes.
So we have to combine both the conditions. So I'm writing an and. So this has to be true and this has to be true. So we have to cancel off this case, right? Then,
Yeah.
because both cannot be together simultaneously, right? This and this cannot be true together, right?
Yeah.
So your final answer should be k greater than 1, right? Because that satisfies both the conditions, right?
Yeah.
K greater than 1 will make sure that discriminant is also negative and k is also greater than 0, right?
Yeah.
So that will be the answer for this. I hope that is somewhere in the options, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. It's option B.
Yeah. So the idea is whenever you have inequalities on quadratic equations, right?
Yeah.
Then think of the 6 versions of the graph. Okay. So
Yeah.
think of the 6 versions of the graph. It could be like this, it could be like this, or it could be like this, or it could be like this, right? And you should understand the conditions that a greater than 0 for this set of graphs and a less than 0 for this set of graphs. And obviously d greater than 0, d equal to 0, d less than 0. So
Yeah.
once you know this, then any quadratic sort of inequality question will be easy, because you can then try to think of it in terms of what has to happen on that quadratic, which condition has to be satisfied, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's fine. Then let's move on to the next one. The next one is, I think, question number 22, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Question 22 is basically find the values of k. Find values of k such that the equation 2015 x square minus kx plus k minus 2015, right?
Yeah.
has one positive and one negative root, right? Has one positive and one negative root. Okay, great. So first of all, notice that these coefficients are quite weird. Probably this question was designed in 2015. That's
Yeah,
why
it
they
was.
have,
It was.
yeah, that's why they write things like this. That is fashionable. So now it's an actually easy question. You just have to have some amount of experience to spot some things. So if you have you tried it?
Not yet.
So think
Didn't know
about it.
which rule to apply.
So think about it a little bit. Like if you look at it carefully, you will immediately be able to find one root.
Well, you get the y-intercept, I guess.
See, this is a quadratic, right?
Yeah.
Quadratic in x. So I have to have two roots, and you have to have basically one positive and one negative root, right?
Yeah.
But looking at the quadratic, I can say that one root is pretty obvious.
Mhm.
Think about
One
it. You
and
will
minus one and minus k.
just one, no? X is equal to 1 satisfies,
Yeah.
right? Minus k, I don't know how you are saying. Wait,
Oh
is
yeah,
it
no,
satisfying? Minus k square
does
minus
it? I'm not
plus
sure.
k square. No, it is not satisfying. If you put x is equal to minus k, what is happening? 2015 k square plus k square plus k minus 2015, right? That is not necessarily 0, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
X is equal to 1 clearly satisfies though, right? Because you have 2015 minus k plus k minus 2015, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that is clearly a root. So that simplifies matters a lot for us, because now that you know that 1 is a root, right? So that is the positive root, right?
Yeah.
So because we know sum of the roots has to be what? Minus b by a, right?
Yeah.
It has to be k by 2015, and product of the roots has to be what? C by a. So k minus 2015 by 2015, right?
Yes.
Correct. So since one of the roots is already 1, the other root is immediately found from here, no? Because 1 into beta,
Yeah.
right? So the other root is simply k minus 2015 by 2015, right?
Yes.
Correct. So
Yeah.
k minus 2015 by 2015 is my other
Plus
root, and it
1.
has to be negative according
Yeah.
to the question, right? Because 1 is my positive root, right?
Yeah.
So that immediately means that k must be less than 2015, right?
Yeah.
K less than 2015 is sufficient to ensure that the other root is negative, right?
Yes.
Now the values of k, then you can write it like minus infinity to 2015. These are the values of k, right? K can be anything lower than 2015, right?
So we don't need to worry about the alpha plus beta. We don't need to subtract the 1.
You you can, but
But you get the same thing.
same thing, no? Nothing new can
Yeah.
come. You have already gotten the other root, so why bother, right?
Yeah.
You just have to impose the condition of the problem that says one negative root. So make sure that this root is negative, right?
Yeah.
So k is less than 2015 is my condition. Now, if it was saying that k is an integer, find all the integer values of k such that, right? Then I would have sent which values are possible. It would have been actually still infinite, minus infinite to 2015, right? All the integers less than that. So till 2014 you would have gotten. But in this case, he has not specified whether k has to be integer or real number or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I just have to write this much. So this question is about just spotting this. Okay. Once you spot this, because of these Vieta relations, these are called Vieta relations, the product and sum relations, right?
Yeah.
That gives you the other root instantaneously. There is no issue. Okay. Then the next one is question number 8, or which one? 23 or 8? Which one?
8.
Okay.
We could do 23 as well, but I wasn't really sure.
Okay. So
Like
23
it's
is
quadratic.
23 is basically, I think it is not quadratic equations. It's a question on some expansions. So binomial theorem, which you have not learned, no, right
Yeah,
now.
so that's why I didn't say.
1 second. Let me just look at it once. So 5x plus 2 to the power 3, and this is 3 minus 2x plus x square to the power 4. You have to find the sum of the coefficients in the expansion of this. Okay. So actually you have to think about what the expansion of this will be, and so this part can be written a little better as x square minus 2x plus 1 plus 2, right? This one to the power 4, right? This one, see.
Yes.
So that is just x minus 1 whole square plus 2 to the power 4. And this part, I feel like there's no nice way to write this. 6, 12, no factorization is happening. So, okay, so this question is not something that we can discuss right now because this is clearly binomial now.
Yeah.
Binomial theorem we'll study in due course. So it will be in our plan once we cover a little more of algebra. We'll do this. Basically, it says how to expand powers of polynomials. Okay, so it's not very difficult thing. It's just you need to know it. So we'll discuss it later. Like these are questions in your exercise book, some
Yes.
Olympiad exercise book.
Yeah.
So Olympiad exercise book, they don't have any resource material from where you can read and all, like stuff theory.
At the very back, there's one page which says a list of like an
Results.
appendix. So like Siva's theorem, Mendelsohn's theorem. It just has like formulas and stuff you should know.
So in your school, like, do they have special classes for Olympiad training or camp or something? What do they do?
They do have training, but it's basically just going through questions.
Okay.
They don't teach much theory.
So this is supplementary to the school's times or in the school itself?
This is after school exams. It's the math club.
Okay, okay. So they don't teach much. These are regular teachers in school or like?
We have an external trainer.
Okay, okay. But they must be discussing theory once in a while, right? Like how do you do so much maths without doing theory?
They go through like the basic rules, and then during the like when they go through the questions itself, they introduce us to some rules.
Okay. So you have been attending these, no, sessions?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, fine. I mean, so binomial theorem will come up eventually. It has to. So anyway, we will probably discuss it before. So don't worry. Question number 8. Question 8. Given that 1 by 7 is less than root x by x is less than equal to 1 by 5 and 3 by 4 is less than 1 minus root y by y is less than equal to 8 by 9, right?
Yeah.
Where x and y are whole numbers. X and y are whole numbers. Whole numbers basically means natural numbers including 0.
Yeah.
Okay. But 0 here is not possible. So we don't have to worry about that.
You can't divide by 0.
So we have to find the smallest possible value of x minus y. Smallest value of x minus y. Okay. Okay. So first of all, we should write the second inequality also in the form root y by y, right?
Yeah.
We can simplify it a little bit and collect all the terms and all in one side and so on. So what I'll do is subtract 1 from everything. So it will become minus 1 by 4 is less than minus root y by y is less than equal to minus 1 by 9, right?
Yes.
And then I'll multiply by minus 1 to remove this minus sign. But when you multiply by negative quantity, you have to change the inequality sign, right?
Yeah.
This will become 1 by 4 is greater than root y by y is greater than equal to 1 by 9, right? Correct.
Yes.
And here you have 1 by 7 is less than root x by x is less than equal to 1 by 5. Okay. So, okay. So now root y by y and root x by x.
I was thinking he'll simplify them or make them
1 by
standard
root x,
one or something.
right? 1 by 7 less than 1 by root x less than equal
Yeah.
to 1 by 5. And we have 1 by 9 is less than equal to 1 by root y is less than 1 by 4, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So, yeah. So the fairly obvious thing to do is to invert everything, right?
Yeah.
If you invert everything, again inequality sign will change, right?
Yes.
Because when you invert things, this is fractions, right? So when you invert, it has to be opposite sign.
Yeah.
So 7 is greater than root x is greater than equal to 5, right? And
Yeah.
here you get 9 is greater than equal to root y is greater than 4, right?
Yeah.
And now square it. Now inequality sign will not change, right? 49 is greater than x is greater than equal to 25, right?
Yeah.
And this side it is 81 is greater than y is greater than 16 greater than equal to y, right?
Yeah.
Correct. So greatest possible value of x can be 48, the largest whole number.
Yeah.
It has to be whole number, no? It cannot be 49.
So we should take the smallest value of
Ah.
x and the largest value of y. So then it's as negative as possible.
Oh, wait, smallest value. I was looking for greatest value here. So we should take smallest value, correct? So we'll take x is equal to 25 then, and y is equal to 81, right?
Yeah.
So the smallest value of x minus y will be minus 56.
Yeah.
Right? If you were looking for largest values of x minus y, you will get 48 minus 17, right?
Yeah.
31 is the largest value.
Yeah.
And minus 56 is the smallest value. So actually, the question was just looking complicated, but actually you have to just go in a step-by-step manner and simplify in such a way that you eventually end up with this and then take reciprocals.
Yeah,
Is
the
it-
part which stumped me was like the root x over x. Then I realized it was like the rationalized third version. So you can go back to 1 over root x. That
Yeah,
was quite
root x
smart.
over x is 1 more root x only, like just powers, right? X power half
Yeah.
by x power 1.
Yeah.
So once you get till here, then you have to, there's nothing else to do other than reciprocals, right?
Yeah.
And be careful about minus sign and reciprocation. Both of these operations will change the sign of the inequality. Like when
Yeah.
you multiply by a negative number or you reciprocate, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Then we have question number, which one? 16, 17, 18, there is one page there. I think that page let's discuss. 16, 17, 18. Question 16. How many integers n satisfy this inequality? Satisfy 2010 is less than root over n minus 1 is less than 2016, right?
Yeah.
Okay, how many integers n? So, okay. So it is easy to convert this into a quadratic problem, right? Because you can square it, right?
Yeah.
You get 2010 square is less than n minus 1 is less than 2016 square, right? So
Yeah.
you will get, hopefully that will give an easy way to solve it, but let's see. You will get two. This is basically a set of two inequalities. One inequality is n square minus n is greater than 2010 square, and the other one is n square minus n is less than 2016 square, right?
Yeah.
So these two inequalities have to be true simultaneously, right? And we
Yes.
have to find integer values of n which will satisfy these. So let's try to see from quadratic equations what we can figure out. N square minus n minus 2010 square is greater than 0, right? So this is an equation in n, and okay, this is fairly straightforward. So now don't worry about the 2010 square. It's just a number, right? So I have a quadratic right now here, no?
Yeah.
I have to make sure that the quadratic is greater than 0, right?
Yes.
Correct. So revert back to what we have learned. So what is the first coefficient of this quadratic? 1, right?
1.
So 1 is greater than 0, therefore the quadratic must look like this, or like this, right? Without touching, right?
Yeah.
These are the 3 versions. One touches, one doesn't touch, and one cuts 2 times, right?
Yes.
Now, looking at this quadratic, you can immediately find the discriminant, right?
Yeah.
It will be b square, which will be 1 minus minus. So plus 2010 square into 4, right?
Yeah.
So clearly this is a positive number, right?
Yeah.
So which graph has it? It has to be. Which graph does it have to be now? It cannot be this, it cannot be this, right?
Yeah.
It has to be this graph, no? D is greater than 0.
Yes.
So the graph of this quadratic polynomial, now you tentatively know the graph, right?
Yeah.
Correct. So now notice that roots are here, right? Alpha and beta, right?
Yeah.
If my graph is going to be like this, then which portions of the graph will satisfy the condition quadratic polynomial is greater than 0, right? It definitely cannot be between the roots, right?
Yeah.
It has to be this side or this side, right?
Yeah.
Then only it is positive, no?
Yeah. Greater than 0. Yeah.
Correct. So n must be either greater than the larger root or lesser than the smaller root, right?
Yes.
Correct. The value of n must be smaller than the smaller root and greater than the larger root, correct?
Yeah.
So let's find the roots now. Alpha beta will be minus of b, so 1 plus minus root over b square minus 4ac is this only. So 1 plus 4 times 2010 square by 2, right?
Yeah.
Correct. So now we get 2 conditions basically, right? From here we get see the larger root is which one? 1 plus this, right?
Yeah.
So we get one condition, n is greater than 1 plus root over 1 plus 4 into 2010 square by 2. And we also get n also could be lesser than 1 minus root over 1 plus 4 into 2010 square by 2, right?
Yes.
Just write these conditions down, no? Because I'll have to switch screens and you'll need to remember these two, right? So this is our solution for the first inequality, this inequality, right?
Yeah.
Do you understand what we did?
Yeah.
We just made it into a quadratic and thought about when can the quadratic be greater than 0, right?
Yeah.
So there are 3 possible versions of its graph. It has to be this one because its discriminant is positive, and this graph can be positive only in the portions when x is or n is below the root or above the higher root, right?
Yeah.
In between the roots it is negative, right?
Yes.
So that is what I have written. N is greater than the bigger root, n is smaller than the smaller root, right? So even though right now it looks a little scary, but this is just a number, right? We have actually solved this part.
Yeah.
This is some number. I will have to approximately get the value later, right?
Yeah.
So, but it's already solved. Like, I hope you have written this down because we'll
Yeah.
use this one, right?
Yeah.
So the next inequality for us is n square minus n is less than 2016 square, right?
Yeah.
It is 2016 only, no? Yeah. It was 2016, no?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So it now our quadratic equation now is this, right?
Yeah.
Correct. Again, look at the discriminant of this quadratic. It is b square. So 1 minus minus plus 4 into 2016 square this time, right? Again, it is positive, right?
4AC.
B
Yeah.
square minus 4ac is coming out to be positive.
Yeah.
And also the first coefficient a is 1, which is positive. So again, the graph looks like this or this or this, right?
Yeah.
So which one is it now? It has to be again this one, right?
Yeah.
But this time my inequality is searching for values of n so that the whole thing is negative, right?
Yeah. So it should be the other way.
So it should be in between, no, now?
Oh, yeah. Because n is greater than
Ah.
1.
Not n is high. N is greater than 1. What are you saying? No, the
'Cause-
first coefficient is greater than 0. So therefore the graph is upward looking, right?
Oh, yes.
If the first coefficient was negative, then the graph would have looked like this, right?
Yeah.
So I'm isolating these three graphs and then I'm thinking that discriminant is positive. So that means it cannot be a graph that doesn't touch the axis, right? Which would
Yeah.
have been 0 roots.
Yeah.
It cannot be this graph also. It cannot be this graph also. It has to be this graph, right?
Yeah.
Now in this graph, I'm searching for values of n so that the whole quadratic polynomial is negative, right? Less than 0, right?
Yes.
Now notice that if you take values of n this side and this side, like in the previous problem, then you had positive values of the quadratic, right?
Yeah.
You understand this point, no?
Yeah.
The quadratic is negative only between the two roots, right?
Yes.
So now here, what I have to write is n has to lie between the smaller root and the larger root, right?
Yes.
So let's write the roots. Alpha beta is simply minus b. So plus 1 plus minus root over 1 plus 4 into 2016 square by 2 into 1, right? So my smaller root is 1 minus root over 1 plus 4 into 2016 square by 2 is less than n is less than 1 plus 4 into 2016 square plus 1 by 2, right?
Yeah.
So now you have two different conditions. No, there we got conditions which were looking slightly different, but they were also conditions on n, right?
Yes.
Correct. And now you have a condition here that this is this condition, right? So both have to be satisfied together for the overall inequality to be true, right?
Yeah.
So now we just have to think about what are the number of possible values of n. So there's still some work left, but the question is more or less solved now. Like if these numbers were nicer, I would immediately be able to get it, right?
Yeah.
The numbers are just annoying, so we'll spend some more time doing it, but it's not a big deal. So for example, now let's write down the earlier condition. So we had something like n is greater than, I think, what was it? Tell me that previous.
N is greater than 1 minus root. Oh, you want the first inequality or the? Oh, yeah, first inequality. Okay. N is greater than 1 plus.
1 plus 4 into 2010 square
Yeah.
by
Over
2, and n is
And
less
n
than
is less than 1 minus 4 times 2010 square plus 1 over 2.
correct. Okay, so I have to make sure that everything is satisfied simultaneously, right?
Yeah.
So okay,
I
so
think we'll have to make an approximation of the integers and then.
So I want to plot all of these numbers on the line, on number line. Then I will be able to think very easily, right?
Yeah.
So wait, let's think. By 2 is common in all 4 numbers, so
Yeah.
I'm not worried about this. This is clearly the largest number, right?
Yeah.
This is the second largest number.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the third largest number and this is the smallest number, right? Clearly. Okay, so let's plot these numbers here. So this is 1 minus 1 plus 4 into 2016 square by 2. The third largest number will be this one. This is 1 minus root over 1 plus 4 into 2010 square by 2. Then the next number is 1 plus root over 1 plus 4 into 2010 square by 2. And the last number is this one, right? This is 1 plus root over 1 plus 4 into 2016 square by 2, right? Okay, now very easy. Now we just have to satisfy all of those conditions, right? n has to be greater than this number, right? So where is it? This is here, right?
Yeah.
Correct. Third number. N has to be this side of that, right? Correct.
Yeah.
N has to be lesser than this number, lesser than this one, lesser than this one. It can be lesser than this one, right? This was my first problem. This was what my first inequality was saying. Either it is lesser than this or it is greater than this, right?
Yeah.
Correct. And now my second inequality is saying it is in the middle of this and this, right?
Yeah.
Second one is saying this, right? Correct.
Yeah.
So what is common between both? This portion and this portion, right? Can you see?
Yeah.
Are you getting what I'm saying?
Yes.
So first inequality was saying go this side and go this side, right?
Yeah.
From these two numbers, the 2010 squares. And the second was saying go between these two, right?
Yeah.
So common portions are this much and this much, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So now we just have to estimate how many integers are there between them, right?
But won't it be like infinite?
No, there n has to be integers. Therefore, not infinite, right?
Oh, yeah.
N was an integer value, I think he said.
Yeah.
If it was real numbers, obviously infinite, but not real numbers. So we have to somehow sort of estimate how many integers are there. Now this becomes a little painful. 1 second. 1/2 plus this. 1 plus 4 into 2010 square by 2. Calculators and all are not allowed, no? So now we have to figure out something. It is annoying, at least very annoying, but I will do it, but by binomial theorem again. Okay, so you will be slightly clueless right now. Okay, so I'll just show you how to do this part. Okay, how many integers are here? Okay,
Oh, yeah.
so
Well, actually, the answer is much simpler because it
what is the
says
answer?
I'll
No,
share my
answer will be
screen.
simple only. Answer will say that number of integers.
Answer is just you square both sides, then you can tell that 2010 times 2010 is less than n times n plus 1. So for the positive integer values will be 2010, 2011 till 2015.
Once
And the
again,
negative ones will be minus 2001.
he's saying something like this.
Yeah, yeah.
N into n minus 1, he's saying. Something like this.
Yeah.
Oh, he's saying that you can take n as 2010. 2010 into 29 will be lesser. So 2011 you have to put.
Yeah.
2011, 2012, 2013. Oh, okay, it's a very simple question. Oh, okay. So then we have been a little stupid. I mean, but I was thinking of more of telling you about quadratic equation stuff. So that's why I
Yeah,
was
it's
a
good.
little.
This method can still be used in harder questions.
Yeah. I was a little sidetracked by that, but otherwise, this feels fairly easy. I thought, yeah, it's very easy actually. But anyway, it's fine. The method that we have learned, however, is valid in general. So whenever you have something like some equation like this, right?
Yeah.
Quadratic equation inequality. So that is what I was showing you. Okay.
Yeah.
So it will be correct, but this is too long.
It's longer.
So in this particular problem, it's about just guessing, okay, 2011, if you put, suddenly it is greater, right? And 2012 will also fit, 13 will also fit. And the other version, you will just make sure that it is lesser than 2016 square. So it's actually very easy. That is sad. But anyway.
Okay.
Yeah. Next one is find the smallest value of the expression. Question number 17. Smallest possible value of the expression. You have 9 minus a, 5 minus a plus 9, a plus.
It's a square minus b square at first, but after like.
Correct. where a is a real number. A is a real number, smallest possible value. So actually they intend,
At first, I was thinking, you find the midpoint between 9 and 5, so like 7 plus 2 minus a, and then I realized it's quite long. So
maybe that could work. 1 second. So first what happens is 81 minus a square, you can see, and this one becomes 25 minus a square, right?
yeah,
So okay, this is not difficult. So actually just multiply it out, see what happens. So you have 81 into 25. I will not try to multiply that. I'll just keep that as it is, and this will become minus 25a square minus 81a square plus a power 4, right? Correct.
yeah.
Okay.
So then you make a square equal to b, and then you get a nice.
Correct. A power 4 minus 106a square plus 25 into 18, right? This is my quadratic like expression, right?
Yeah,
So a square is equal to b, what you said. So this becomes a typical quadratic, b square minus 106b plus 125 into 81, right? Correct.
yeah.
Now, I mean, I'm sure there are multiple ways to solve this question. This is one way, but because we wanted to discuss quadratic, I'm doing it like this. Okay.
Yeah.
There is another way, that is calculus. I can tell you the calculus way also after this, which we will discuss in due course. But right now, see, this is a quadratic, right?
Yeah.
Notice that the quadratic first coefficient is 1, right?
Yeah.
So it is going to facing upwards types, right?
Yeah.
And if you look at the discriminant, it will be 106 square minus 4 into 25 into 81, right?
Yeah.
Correct. So this is 100 into 81 and 106 square, right? So clearly this is positive, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So therefore discriminant is positive, so quadratic should look like this, right?
Yeah.
Correct. So quadratic is looking like this, and even if it had not been positive, even if it was like this, right? But even if it was like this, right? One thing is common in all three quadratics. The minimum value happens at this point, right? Midpoint. Right?
Yeah.
Minimum value always happens at this point, right? And this point is called the vertex of the parabola.
Yeah.
Vertex of the parabola. And that happens if you have a ax squared plus bx plus c situation. This is a quadratic. The vertex is at the point x is equal to minus b by 2a.
Yeah.
So now it is very easy for us because we know the coefficients here. So b should be minus of 100 minus of 106, right? So
Yeah.
plus 106 by 2, right? So b should be 53, right?
Yeah.
Correct. So if b is equal to 53, then basically a square is equal to 53, right?
Yeah.
Right? At that point, what is the value of my thing? It becomes
Y is 50.
this is slightly annoying. 53 square minus 106 into 53 plus 25 into 81, right? Correct.
Yeah.
So what we can do is 53 square.
Well, you can go back to the original one, 81 minus a square. So 81 minus 53.
Correct. Yeah, don't do this. You can go back to the original one. 81 minus 53 becomes 28, and 25 minus 53 is minus 28, right?
Oh, it's minus 28 square.
So
Nice.
minus 784, I think. That is the smallest possible value. 28 square is 784 only, no?
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Sure, no? 841 is 29, I think. Are you sure about this, no? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is one way to do it, where we converted it into a quadratic and then know from our quadratic theory that vertex of the parabola is the point where minimum happens. So x is equal to minus b by 2a, right?
Yeah.
And x is equal to minus b by 2a. So our b was equal to minus 106. So minus of minus 106 by 2. So 53. B was 53 means a square was 53. So put that a square back here. Don't simplify it like this, right? So we get it. Another way to do it would have been calculus, and calculus is actually the fastest way to do it, but you don't know calculus, no?
Yeah, I don't.
Okay. So we have this equation, no? 106 a square plus 25 into 81. This was my expression. So what we will learn is later in calculus, what you'll learn is if you have any function f of x, where this is a function of a, right? This is a function of a means a relation in terms of a, right? So if you have any function, you can take a derivative of that function, d by dA here, derivative of that function, which basically, okay, actually it's hard to explain. So
Wait, what's a derivative?
So what I will tell you is calculus is super easy and very interesting, and it has enormous applications, like area of a circle is pi r square, right?
Yeah.
But have you ever proved it?
No.
Right? Like nobody has told you how to get it, right?
Yeah.
Or volume of a cone is 1 by 3 pi r square h, right?
Don't know how that came about either.
But why is it 1 by 3, not 1 by 7? Like, I don't know, right?
Yeah.
It could have been anything, right? Like, how does it come as 1 by 3, right? So calculus has enormous application. All such results can be proven by calculus. Okay. And what I will tell you is there is a introductory video on my YouTube channel. I think your dad knows my channel, right?
Yeah. Shishya, I think.
Yeah. So there is an introductory video. I'll just send you the link after the class. There is differential calculus in 1.5 hours. Okay. So that is for people who are just starting out and they don't know calculus right now. It's very basic. So I'm explaining what is going on. Okay. So you can watch that. At some stage, when you come to a slightly higher grade, you will eventually have to learn calculus. And it is useful to know even for Olympiads, even though in Olympiads directly, they will not use calculus in most of the questions. But sometimes there are some maxima minima questions. Like this is a maxima minima question. You are finding the minimum value of something, right?
Yeah.
So that is a enormously useful application of derivatives. So once you know what derivatives are and how to differentiate something, you will be able to solve these maxima minima questions very easily. Okay. So any maxima minima type of question you can easily solve. Otherwise, without using calculus, things are slightly difficult because you will have to use some properties of quadratic like we did here, or you might have to use some AMGM inequality or something, right? So things are a little more tricky if you want to prove those things without calculus. So anyway, for your maths education, you need to know calculus at some stage. So I would recommend that you go through that video once, and I will also tell you about this one book that you should start reading anyway as casual reading. It's called Calculus and Analytic Geometry. I can send you the PDF for that book, or you can order it online.
Oh, no, please send the PDF. I actually get all my PDF books online.
Okay. So Calculus and Analytic Geometry by Thomas and Finney. It's a very good book. I read it when I was also in 8th grade. So it is so nice that anybody can understand. Like I was in 8th grade, I was able to understand. So you will also be able to understand. Okay. So very nice book, and it explains everything very beautifully. Okay. So I will send you this book. I will send you the online version. So just look through that. The first 7 chapters of this book are what is important for you to know, at least till grade 12. This is what is important to know. First 7-8 chapters of this book. So slowly you can read it. There is no rush. There is no pressure. It's just about you increasing your knowledge and repertoire. Okay. So it's not about any exam or anything, right? But knowing calculus is definitely a better place to be in. So you can try that out. Right now, I'll not discuss it because it is not possible to do it in 5 minutes. Okay. So Then there's a very weird type of question, the sequence question, question 88. Okay,
Yeah, that
18.
one I didn't really get because couldn't find any patterns.
So 61, 52, 63, 94, 46, and P. Slightly weird here, but let's see. Okay, let's track the differences. Some differences are totally random, but this is -9, this is +11, right? This is +31, this is -48. Huh? Okay. Can you see any patterns? No. -9 to +11 is a jump of +20. Oh, +20. Oh, but then it is gone. Okay. This seems like a trick question. 1 second. 61, 52, 63. Is it, this is a prime number? There's no other prime number. That's that. 6 plus 1 is 7, 5 plus 2 is 7, but after that, that pattern is also broken.
Oh, maybe it's about the digits. Yeah. Maybe it's about the digits.
Yeah. 6, 5, 6, 9. No.
Oh.
1, 2, 3, 4, 6. But
1, 2, 3, 4, 6. I mean, the first four. No, there's some square. Yeah.
what?
61 reversed is 16.
61 is?
61 like reversed is 16, and then 52 reversed
Oh
is
my God.
25.
That is so lame, dude. Oh, that is sad. That is so, that is so stupid. Yeah, it's correct. You have spotted the right part. 64, the next one will be
81.
81, so you'll write 18.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's just lame. Why would someone ask a question like this in a maths exam?
So disappointing.
Yeah. Okay, but it's nice catch there. Smart. I would not have spotted that. Yeah. Totally weird.
Because if it's not like a difference, and if it's
No, I
not like
was going
geometric,
for, I was going for more mathematical things. I was thinking of maybe binary representations and all. Now I would have tried binary. But this is just like a trick question. But it's
oh no,
nice.
for me, I looked at the number. It was question 18. So
Why question 18? How is that got to do with anything?
I don't know. I just like, oh, maybe it's a square number.
Oh, answer is also 18. Great.
Yeah.
Question 18 is also answer 18. Okay. Okay, so they ask sometimes these mental ability questions also for you guys. Okay. The next one is the difficult one, I feel. This one, right now, I have no idea. Question 23, I have to think about. It feels very weird. Why are they asking such things? Question 23. I mean, I'm sure there will be some cheap trick again. This one, 1 by 2016 plus 1 by 2017 till 1 by 2024 plus 1 by 2025. Right? They are asking you the value of this fraction.
Yeah.
Let's. Okay, what is the? Why are they asking this? What is the purpose? If you take 1 by p, you will get 1 by 2016 plus 1 by 2017 plus so on till 1 by 2025 is equal to 1 by p, right? So even if I get this, maybe I'll be able to predict what p will be if I can just solve this, right?
Yeah.
Correct. So, okay. So this is the sum of reciprocals of how many numbers? This is 10 numbers, right?
Is it going to be a harmonic progression?
Yeah, harmonic only. It is harmonic progression, but there's no expression for sum of harmonic progression terms.
Oh, yeah.
So that is a slightly sad thing for us, but what can we do here? 1 by this plus 1 by this. Can we simplify it in some, like 1 by 20? Can we pair some of them together and it becomes something simpler? Or 2016, can we pair with, there are actually 10 numbers here, right? 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 20, 10 numbers are there, right? So pairs of 2 are possible, right? So we just have to think about what is a good pair. Maybe some pairing can help us. 1921, if I do pairs like 16 and 25 and all, does it help? Doesn't seem like it is helping. See, what I can say is that this thing, I can apply AMGM and do approximate stuff, but will that be nice? I mean, anyway, you have to approximate and right? And the answer, you have to put some approximate stuff.
Yeah.
So I know an inequality that is called AMGM-HM, right? You know about AMGM-HM? No?
Yeah. I just read about it, and it's in the book.
So
A1 plus AN divided by N. And then you find the geometric mean and then the harmonic mean.
Yeah. So it feels like, is it a question about that? Because then if you have 10 numbers, right? 10 numbers like this, correct?
Yeah.
So then AM of these 10 numbers will be greater than the GM and will be greater than the HM, right? So.
But you still need to add them up and all.
No, we don't need to, because then we'll be able to say that AM is greater than that. Okay, but I mean, I will not be able to get specifically which one it is, but I'll be able to say some inequality, but that will not help it. I will be able to say it is greater than something, and I can approximate that other something part, right? Because product will be slightly easier. When I do GM of these numbers, no, it will be slightly easier because it will 10th root of some product of 10 numbers, right? That is also quite hard, but it's easier than the sum at least. You understand?
Somewhat. Not
what
really.
I'm saying is I will be able to say that AM is greater than equal to GM at least, right?
Yes.
And AM of these 10 numbers will be A plus B plus C plus D till divided by 10, right?
Yeah.
That will be greater than the GM of these 10 numbers. So that is root 10 into product of these 10 numbers, right?
Yeah.
So something like this will come, correct? So I have the sum of these numbers is greater than equal to 10 times root 10 of this thing, right?
Yeah.
Right? So even though I'm not getting it exactly, I'm getting it is greater than or equal to this, right?
Yeah.
So the point is that when you do AMGM, the equality sign comes when all the numbers are equal to each other. The equality sign AM is equal to GM happens when each number is equal to each other. Okay.
Yeah.
Why? Because let's see, A plus A plus A, 3 numbers, let's say A plus A plus A by 3 is greater than equal to, this is AM of 3 numbers, right? A is greater than equal to GM. GM will be cube root of A into A, right? So now see, this GM is actually just simply A, right? And this AM is also simply A. right?
Yes.
So in this case, it is equal actually, right? When all the numbers are same, right?
Yeah, because
In-
AQ, but
Uh,
there's a progression, right? So,
what? There is a progression as in?
but like in this
In
case,
our
all the
case,
numbers
yeah.
are same.
In
So
our
first,
case, there is a different numbers. We have some 10 numbers, right?
yeah,
I, J, something like this. By 10, right? Will be greater than equal to 10th root of A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, right?
yes,
This is the GM of 10 numbers. This is the AM of 10 numbers. Okay. So we can say that we needed to find out something about the sum of these numbers, right?
yeah,
We needed to find out this thing, right? So we can say sum is greater than equal to 10 times 10th root of A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, right? Correct? Okay. Now, notice that these numbers are all very small, no?
yeah,
These numbers are all very small and not very far apart from each other, right? Because they are so small, so the differences are quite tiny, right? 1 by 2016, if you actually do the decimal thing, it will be 0.00 something, right? And
yeah,
1 by 2017 will not be too far away from it.
yeah,
Like, because anyway, the question is asking me to do approximate, no? At the end, he has said approximate it to the next integer, right?
yeah,
What I will say is almost same, right? 10 numbers are almost same.
yes,
Not really same, but almost same. For the purpose of solving the question, I'm doing that, okay? So, or you can just take average of these. Instead of taking 1 by 2016, I will take 1 by 2020. Each of them is close to 1 by 2020,
yeah,
right? So it will be simply 1 by 2020, multiply all of them, right? Some of them are actually smaller, some of them are actually bigger, but the overall product will be near more or less same, right?
yeah,
Correct. So it will be 10 by 2020, because it will be each of them is 1 by 2020. So we are getting what? 2020 to the power 10, no, inside.
yes,
You understand what I'm doing?
yeah,
So 10th root, when you take, it comes out, right?
yeah,
So it becomes S is greater than equal to 1 by 202, right? And in this case, I'm more leaning towards equal to, similar to, right? Because
yeah,
almost same, right?
yeah.
So,
Then,
so
well,
that,
then you just have to reverse it.
so the
Oh, equal.
reversal will be 202. 1 by S, I think we wanted, right? Something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm sure it will be wrong right now because I feel like we have not done it carefully, but
Oh no, it's actually 202.
oh, great. But you understand what is going on, like,
Yeah, because
so,
if you approximate, you'll still get
yeah,
there.
yeah. So it is not a real method of solving, but the question is also not very nice. So it's
Yeah,
fine.
the questions method was also inequalities, but I don't really know.
What inequality?
It says for n greater than 2016,
Hmm.
1 divided by 2016 is greater than 1 by n. So that way 10 over 2016 will be greater than the sum. And
Hmm.
using the same logic,
Hmm.
10 over 2060 2025 will be less. So then he just divides them by 10 and it's somewhere in between. So then you approximate and it's 202.
Okay, fine. But do you understand what I was doing?
Yeah.
So this is some P. I'm saying I have to find out P. So I will do first 1 by P is equal to this, right? 1 by 2016 plus 1 by 2017
Yeah.
plus so on plus 1 by 2025, right? And I have to somehow estimate this sum value, right? But I don't know very nice ways to do this. So what I will do is I will apply AMGM, right? AM is greater than equal to GM, I will apply. And I will say that in cases when the numbers are close to each other, AM is almost equal to GM or equal to GM actually, if they are
Yeah.
equal, right? So what I did was this sum, let's call it S. S by 10 is greater than equal to root of 10 product of them, right? P. Not P actually, but product of those, right? Correct.
Yeah.
So S is greater than equal to 10 times root of 10 and the product of all of those numbers, right? And because I want to use the fact that it is close to each other and all, what I will say is when I'm doing the product, I will not write 1 by 2016 into 1 by 2017 and so on. What I will write is each of them I'll approximate as 1 by 2020. Now, because of doing that, which is the middle term here, right? So doing that will mean that I am increasing the values of these terms, but decreasing the values of these terms, right? Correct. So product will be nearby that only because it's symmetric, right? There is no like unbalanced nature that something that we are doing. So what I'm assuming is each one is 1 by 2020. So it becomes 1 by 2020 to the power 10 and 10th root of that. So it becomes 10 by 2020. So S is nearby this. So S is almost 1 by 202. So 1 by S is what we now wanted, right? So I mean, the book probably also does something similar. So, but it is a different method. He's not explicitly using AMGML. He's doing something.
But it's using the same logic that if it's a very small number, then 10 times of that will be around 10 times of the smallest, 10 times of the biggest. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's all for now. I think we have more or less covered everything, right?
Yeah.
The last one is very easy. You can do it. The 2 power 11. See, that question number 7 that you have sent me is super easy. You don't need to
I think
ask.
you just have to like eliminate, and then if you can't find, you bring them to the same power. So like 17 is close to 16. So then you can bring that to 16. 31 is close to 32.
Correct. Yeah. Very easy. So see, 4 power 5 is 2 power 10, right?
Yeah.
And 8 power 4 is 2 power 12 because 2 cube.
Yeah.
And after that, you can just simply 17 cube is 2 power 4 cube. So 2 power 12, it is greater than that, right?
Yeah.
And you already know what to do then. 2 power 10, this is greater than 2 power 10. So largest one seems to be this then.
Yeah.
Because everything else is 2 power 11, 10. This is greater than 2 power 12, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Fine. We'll do a class tomorrow also. Tomorrow, I will just check the plan ones because I feel like I've forgotten what is supposed to be done next. I will check the plan ones and according to that, we'll continue with the topics. Okay. If you have any other problems, you can share them. But mostly, let's stick to the theory part also. Like, let's not get lost in doing questions and not learning any new theory.
Yeah.
Okay. So at least one class a week should be theory. One class can be a problem discussion.
Yeah.
Because we will need to get ahead in knowledge also to be able to tackle new problems. So
yeah.
So
unless I can't get it from the answer sheet, then I'll ask.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll discuss tomorrow then. I'll see you.
Okay, yeah. Bye.